What's going on, guys? We are about 24 hours from NBA draft time. As always, make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification. We are doing a video tomorrow for the draft. That'll actually be a live stream instead of a video. And then Thursday will be a video. Um, so come hang out tomorrow. It'll be on TikTok. Will probably be the most active chat, and I'll be paying a little more attention to that one. Just because it'll be flowing a little faster, and then I will have YouTube pulled up as well. Um, and then Friday will be our draft recap. Uh, one little bit of news before we get started on the draft video. I am aware of the Porzingis deal. This is being recorded after that happened. However, I'm still waiting on the fine details. They're still waiting to make sure Gallinari's included and different stuff like that. So until we get the full details of it, I'm not going to do any reaction. And it'll honestly probably just fall into Friday's reaction draft. We'll probably just lump it in there because it is part of the draft because there is draft compensation in that trade. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this here. So, with the first pick, we are taking, I'm just kidding. Everybody knows it is Victor Wembanyama, 7'5" center. We'll see what his potential is. I'm curious. Like I said in the initial video, I'm really excited that he's paired next to Sohan. I really wanted Sohan with Chet last year. I kept mocking OKC to pick up Sohan last year, and he actually ended up going to San Antonio. And now I think he goes with a slightly better prospect compared to what Chet was and what Chet currently is. And Victor Wembanyama. I'm curious to see offensively how he plays. I'm also curious to see how teams guard him when he's on offense. Because obviously he's taller, so you probably want a taller guy on him. But he has a quick enough, he can handle a little bit and stuff like that to where I don't know if a center can guard him. So I'm really curious as far as matchups go, or maybe if he gets kind of like a Rudy Gobert type treatment and people put smaller but stronger guys on him. So I'm just kind of curious as how that goes. But as of right now, obviously, Wembanyama is pick number one. Another thing I do want to say, the later we get into this draft, the less film I have on some of these guys. So once we get past like the lottery, I'm going to be basing it more off of team needs and more off of fit rather than me watching this guy's tapes and stuff like that. And less of a breakdown and more of a team need situation. Number two. So I've heard this one go a couple of different ways, right? I feel like this is where the draft really starts. I've heard people say they need to take Scoot Henderson because obviously you should be running, not worrying about the fit with LaMelo. You should take the best player available. I've also heard the other direction of what help does LaMelo have? He needs a wing who can defend, who won't be, kind of pushing him off like Luka was kind of off the ball. You want to keep the ball in LaMelo's hands because that's when he's best. And Brandon Miller can be that secondary playmaker, more of a defender, can space the floor right away. Scoot still kind of working on the jump shot. But personally, I am going with the model of this team is just so raw as a whole. And I half expect some sort of major trade to happen with this team because of new owner syndrome. If you guys haven't heard that before, Bill Simmons talks about on his podcast all the time. Essentially, a new owner comes in. They want to leave their stamp on the team, make it feel like it's their team, feel validated that, hey, I just bought this team, and this is what I did. Perfect example is the Phoenix Suns the last couple of weeks and last year with the Durant trade, and then you have the Beal trade now. It really feels like he's really put his input on that team, right? So with new owner syndrome, I don't know if it'll be pick 2 that gets traded. Maybe it's a later pick. Maybe it's one of the younger guys or something like that. A signing trade with PJ Washington. Possibilities are endless. But long story short, I am going to go Scoot Henderson. I think it will work because of the fact that if you watch the Pistons when Cade was healthy, him and Jaden Ivey played really well off each other. So I think it's definitely something that can happen. Multiple ball handler system's not a problem. LaMelo does occasionally have an injury. So again, you'd be putting the ball in Scoot's hands. Seems like it can be great anyway. It's a good chance for Scoot to develop. And I think it's just really good all in all. Now, at 3. In this mock, we're just not doing trading picks because it's just too messy. So every team is taking their pick. There's no trades, nothing like that. But at 3, I think obviously you're either taking that pick or I really think it might be time for Dame to go. I don't think he wants to wait around on Shaedon Sharpe to mature. As good as Shaedon Sharpe looked in flashes, I don't think he wants to wait on that. I don't think he wants to wait on a Brandon Miller or a Men Thompson, whoever they want to take. I don't think they want him to have to wait on that development because obviously Dame's getting older, right? He's pushing, I would say, the back half of his career. I feel like it's safe to say. Even though he had probably his best season last year, I just think that he's not going to wait on the timetable that these guys are on, right? That being said, though, I am taking Brandon Miller. Even if you do trade Dame, there are just a lot of guards on this roster, especially if you're trading Dame, because obviously you're getting some sort of good young player back, right? You're getting some sort of guy that can build for the future. And as of right now, you've got Anthony Simons, you've got Shaden Sharp, you've got Nurkic, I'm assuming is still on the roster as of right now. And you've got, I'm assuming Jeremy Grant's probably in a sign-in trade, something like that. So I think the wing position is the most open position right now, at least until you get rid of Nurkic and stuff like that. But I think Brandon Miller has a lot of upside. I liked his college year. He showed a lot of scoring. He showed some good defense. He showed ball handling. And that was like the biggest gripe on Jaylen Brown when Jaylen Brown came out, right? Was the ball handling. Brandon Miller he already kind of has the ball handling part of it. So I'm curious as far as where he can grow. I understand he had some off the court issues. I think in Portland, though, I feel like that's kind of more tucked away. He's not going to have as big of a spotlight on him, and he can really mature. And him, Shaden Sharp, and Simons can really be a killer three. Now, Houston. I like that they emphasize this. Point guard, severe. Nobody on this roster is a point guard. Look, they have Kevin Porter Jr. as a small forward. People keep trying to tell me he's a point guard. He's not. He's a shooting guard. He's a bucket getter. He's not a facilitator. It's just none of these guys on this roster. That's why I constantly call them an AAU team. It's not a facilitating team, right? It's not a really well-knit team. Obviously, if you are like 99% sure you're getting James Harden, pick I'm going to make is not going to work for you. But I personally think that as a defender, as a playmaker, he doesn't have to shoot a whole lot, right? You've got Şengün spacing the floor. You've got Jabari Smith Jr., Jalen Green. A lot of these guys are floor spacers already, right? The floor's going to be pretty open for him. And also, I like the idea of, especially watching his cutting off of a Alfred Şengün. I'm not saying it's going to be Jokic to like Bruce Brown or Jamal Murray levels of cutting, but maybe it's like a Sabonis level, right? Where he sees the game, he feels the game, and he can really distribute to this guy. This guy cuts really well. So I am taking Amen Thompson for Houston. They just need a playmaker. They need a facilitator. They need a floor general. They need a guy that can have the ball in his hands and really keep this team together, right? So I think that is the direction that works best for them. Now, Detroit. So here's the thing, right? You have Jaden Ivey. You have Cade. You have basically every center from the last couple of drafts, it feels like, right? You've got your Bagley. You've got your Wiseman. You've got Duran, who I really, really like. You've got Bogdanovich still. Alec Burks is technically still on the roster. So I feel like you have a lot of guards and you have a lot of centers, right? So you need the wing position, right? Because you have Bogdanovich. Other than that, though, if you go through this list, free agent, Killian Hayes is a guard, center, guard. Like there's not a lot of options here at the wing position, right? So personally, that is why I am going Cam Whitmore. I understand there are concerns about his passing, about his facilitating, but I just think with you having Cade and Ivy on the court, Bogdanovich handles it a little bit. I don't think he's going to be asked to be a playmaker, right? I think he's going to ask to score the ball. He's a decent defender. His shot can come along. I think as far as a fit, you have your guy. He may not be a superstar. He may be a top 5 or a top 3 guy out of this draft, right? He may be a bottom 3 guy out of the lottery. Who knows? But I just think as far as this team is currently constructed, I think you need that wing help, and I think he can come in and start day one and provide that just level of maturity. He came from the Villanova program. Those guys just no ball. As cliche as it sounds, just no ball. Orlando. So there's a lot of different ways Orlando can go, right? I'm so torn on Orlando, especially for this first pick. So you need shooting, right? Shooting. Point guard, I feel like, is fairly solidified depending on what you're doing. Markel Fultz, this is last year. But you do have him. You have Jalen Suggs. And I think that you need shooting, right? Asar Thompson isn't really a shooter. But I feel like you're crazy to pass him up because I feel like you can get shooting with pick 11, right? So they do have pick 11. If they didn't have pick 11, honestly, I'm probably looking Jarris Walker, I'm gonna be honest. He's not as great of a shooter. He's a hell of a defender. He just is lanky. Like it fits the typical Orlando Magic profile, right? Good athlete, smart defender. You figure it out later, right? But personally, I am going Asar Thompson because I think he can grow into a shot. I think you're also not asking him to have the ball in his hands constantly day one. You have Paolo, you have Franz, you have Markel Fultz. Like these guys are bringing the ball up for him, right? They're helping him. He's a good cutter. He's an excellent defender. He fits into that scheme. He's got a good wingspan. I just think for what Orlando typically does, they take a taller player with a good wingspan with good athleticism. That's been their MO for years, right? And I think he fits the profile too well. And personally, I think you can get shooting at that 11th pick. Indiana. Um, First of all, severe need at point guard is a lie. They need a backup point guard. They don't have a severe need at point guard. Let's clarify that right now. Center, you have Miles Turner. I think you're good. So personally, maybe this is a tape thing. I will be honest. I'm taking Taylor Hendricks. I'm going to be honest. I saw the shot blocking ability, saw the vertical threat, the spacing threat. He can grow next to Miles Turner, right? When we were constantly saying trade Miles Turner, right? It's because he had Sabonis next to him. Sabonis, not a great defender. He's more of a center, right? We've seen that now in Sacramento. He's more of a center. If you put Taylor Hendricks next to him, and even if the jump shot isn't perfect right away, right? Say he still needs a little bit of time to develop. Miles Turner will space the floor. He has no problem spacing the floor. You're now giving a good vertical threat to Tyrese Halliburton, who can help Miles Turner switch, maybe even play a little bit of small ball center at times. Defensively, he gets the blocks, the chase downs. I think all in all, he fits perfectly for what Indiana's doing, right? Washington. They need a lot of things. Obviously, the Porzingis trade isn't finalized yet, so we're not going to say they need everything, but they need everything. Bradley Beal's gone. Porzingis is gone. Kuzma's already declined his option, so we're pretty sure he's out the door. So really, you're essentially looking at Daniel Gafford, Monte Morris, who I wouldn't be surprised if they try and trade. You have Denny Avdia. You have Johnny Davis. What does this team need? This team needs either A, a superstar, or B, a ball handler. They've been asking for it for years. I love Monte Morris. He's just not a starter, right? He's a very high quality backup. He's not a starter. It's just not who he is, right? So for that reason, I am taking Anthony Black for Washington. I've seen him mocked here a while. I've just kind of going over my own trial mocks. It's every time I feel like he just keeps falling to them continuously. I've always needed a ball handler, good playmaker, good defender. I think if he hits, which is very hard to say in Washington because they tend to make the wrong pick. So knowing my luck, he's going to be the worst player out of this lottery. But I think for what Washington needs, he's the guy, right? Next up with pick number 9, you have the Utah Jazz. Just because he's fallen so much, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Jarris Walker is a really good defender. I'm not going to lie. I like defensive aggressiveness, just the mentality. And I think if you're putting him on that line, right, you have Lauri Markkanen, blanked, Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's already a really good rim protector. You now can have Jarris Walker defend the bigger guys so Lowry doesn't have to. And Lowry can go guard whoever's in a corner, right? And now, so you're allowing Jarris Walker to be kind of more of the wing defender, and you get Walker Kessler some help, right? So it's not a turnstile defensively, and you don't have the Rudy Gobert situation all over again, right? Where people are walking through the guards, and then Rudy has to rotate, and it's a wide open corner, right? You're not running into that situation now. Now you're running into Jarris Walker's holding up his own. He's running the break. He's got spacing now because everybody on this team likes to space the floor. And I think it's a perfect fit, right? Dallas at 10. Personally, if I'm Dallas, this pick is gone, right? Immediately. Gone. Without a question, gone. I, for a while, was mocking Cason Wallace here for a while. Again, secondary ball handler, I kind of think Kyrie's on the fence. And at that time, I was really thinking Kyrie was gone, right? Kind of starting to think Kyrie's at least back, or it's a sign and trade and you're getting another guard from somewhere. So with that being said, personally, I look at this center rotation, right? You have Christian Wood is a center. I don't care what this says. He's gone, right? You're not resigning him. Davis Bertans, power forward, gone at the end of the year. Dwight Powell is okay. Maxi Kleba getting older, right? Like you're starting to run out of JaVale McGee just is not. Oh, I didn't mean to actually click on him. But JaVale McGee is just not a consistently playable player, right? Like their center rotation looks really, really bad. And that's why I'm taking Derek Lively. I know it's not a sexy pick. I know it's not a high end pick. I just think for as far as a lob threat for Luka who can hold down the paint, right? This team, when they were good 2 years ago, it was because their defense was good. I think he can grow into that role. I don't think he's that role day one, right? I don't think he's Walker Kessler coming out here and he's just really good defensively. I don't think he's there yet. I think you get to the point where he is, in a couple of years, he's solid defensively, right? He's really good. He's a good roller. I just think all in all, that's the right pick for them. They need a center. You can find the rest of it later. Go get your center of the future. Now, Orlando. This is probably the easiest pick in the world, right? You're going to take this man right here out of Kansas. Why? He shoots the ball. If you guys have been in my streams, you guys have seen me play rec. You guys know that I have a friend, and I tell him what's his one job on my court: shoot the ball, right? That's what this man's job is going to be, whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, if he's next to Asar Thompson, if he's next to Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz. He's going to have defenders around him who are long, rangy, can switch, can help, and he's just going to be asked to shoot the ball, right? He's going to be put into that role where he can shoot off the move, he can shoot off the catch. He's going to be open. He's got people that have vision around him that can throw him the ball in open space. I just think that coming into the league and knowing your role, especially on this team where I think it's pretty solidified what everybody's role is, I think is a big, big, big first step for him in making sure he gets off to the right start. Okay? OKC. Obviously, if you look through this list right here, there's a handful of guys. Not a lot of them meet the typical model that OKC goes for, right? They go for fairly raw prospects that are tall, have above average wingspan, and can handle the ball, right? Typically is their motto the last couple of years. As far as team needs go, right? You have Shea, you have Josh Giddey, so I feel like your guards are pretty solid. Chet, good. This is the one spot I kind of wish Derek Lively had fallen to because I wouldn't mind him here because then you can move Chet to a power forward role, which I would like to see him at the start of his career. But as of right now, we're going to treat him like a center, right? So I'm assuming Lou Dort's probably playing year 3. And then, I don't know, probably guard Jalen Williams or something out there. So I'm going upside, right? I'm going to butcher his name. But Koulibaly, out of France, showed flashes, right? Still a raw guy. Obviously was overseas. Didn't play college because he was over in France. But he just has I think the tools that OKC looks for, right? Long, rangy, athletic, obviously young, tad bit raw. I just think that all in all, right, he is going to be the guy that maybe doesn't pan out, maybe does pan out, but I think at this point OKC's still going for home run swings, right? And I think if he hits, he can be at least a solid starter at minimum, right? Toronto. Toronto. Who knows what they're doing, right? They could be trading for the 3rd pick and all this goes out the window. They could be running it back like a lot of reports have said, like I said on the Monday video. Gary Trent Jr. did opt in, so you do have that. Fred VanVleet still not on the roster. So personally, that being said, I feel like you do still kind of need a center, even though you have Jakob Poeltl technically is an option because he does have his bird rights as far as coming back. That's why he traded for him. But I think this team needs shooting. This team needs spacing. And this team just needs a bucket getter. Now, this guy's not a natural point guard, right? I'm treating this more like you are depending on Scotty Barnes to run your point guard. and you're more so having this guy as your shooting guard, right? Gary Trent slides down, everybody else stays the same. I'm taking Keontae George. Probably a reach. A lot of people are going to say. I just think as a bucket getter, I think this is where his value comes in, right? You need somebody to score the ball, put the ball in the bucket. That's what he does, right? So I think that's the pick. That's who you go with. Keep moving. New Orleans. So despite the Zion rumors, I still don't know what you do here, right? CJ's not a point guard, but you have him under contract for the next couple of years. And as your team is currently constructed, he has to play your point guard because he's not coming off the bench at $35 million a year, right? It's just not happening. So as of right now, it's CJ, Herb, Bi, Zion, Valanciunas. I like their younger guys as far as Jackson Hayes, Larry Nance, Dyson. Like this team's just so deep that I don't know what they need, right? Jose Alvarado's a good player. Like it's just there's so many different guys on this roster that I don't know where you go, right? So personally, I am going Jalen Hutchefino. Like the scoring, I just think that you got to take a swing, right? At some point, you have to take a swing. I feel like it has to be a guard because of how old CJ is and just the path he kind of started down last year. I think at this point, you have to go Jalen. I think it has to be a guard, and he's the best guard. So that is the lottery. We're not going to do the rest of the draft. I wanted to at least just cover the lottery because that's where most of my knowledge is. But this is what I think, at least. This is, again, no trades, nothing happening after I post the video where there's 15 different trades and all the picks are different and all that stuff. I also didn't want to do the back half of the first round because I feel like those are the picks that are being flipped before the draft. But yeah, let me know what you guys think on the lottery lock. I'm going to again put this up here so everybody can see it, kind of go through it. I feel like the picks are fairly self-explanatory as of right now. If you guys have any tweaks, if you guys have a team that's in the lottery and think you guys should trade out or think you guys should trade up or whatever you guys think, let me know. Again, I would love to have this dialogue in the comment section. I appreciate you guys coming out for the video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.